Site of the only natural asphalt mine in West Virginia, the center of our state's early oil rush, and a molehill later named mountain. I'm Wayne Worth, and you're watching On the Road in West Virginia, our 55 counties, Ritchie County. Before oil and asphalt were even thought of, a dude named John Bunnell was the first white settler to call what we know today as Ritchie County and the Pennsboro area home. This happened right around 1800 when many of the white settlers made their way west of the Alleghenies. So it didn't take long for Mr. Bunnell to have some neighbors, and his first neighbor was a man named John Webster, who bought some of his property in 1810 to build his home, or what we know today as the Old Stone House. Now, growth in most of the county during half of the 19th century was pretty slow going, as many of the early pioneers were just getting settled. However, two major turnpikes would only be the beginning of the region's economic awakening. It all started with the coming of the Northwestern Turnpike, which is today US 50. Now, the new turnpike would connect Winchester, Virginia with Parkersburg, and as a result, within 10 to 15 years, the population doubled in Ritchie County. And if one turnpike wasn't enough, a few years later the Stanton-Parkersburg Turnpike in the southern end of the county arrived, and communities such as Smithville and McFarland started to take shape. Then there was the arrival of the B&O Railroad, which really put Ritchie County on the map. The B&O Railroad also made Ritchie County a prime target during the Civil War, as it was a main transportation source of moving Union troops and supplies from the Midwest to the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. During the spring of 1863, the Confederate Jones and Bowdoin Ray blazed through Ritchie County, disrupting service on the B&O. Even the local Home Guard were no match to the 2,000 Confederate soldiers who were storming through the county. The only good news for Ritchie County and the B&O was just as fast as the raid came in, it went. Now, after the war, it would all come together for Ritchie County in a big way, and it would come through big oil. The first promising well drilled in Ritchie County was around the Cairo area. What followed suit was more extensive drilling in the late 1800s in the western end of the county. Being one of the largest oil-producing counties here in West Virginia, there was even a town named Petroleum here. As for Cairo, which was originally named Egypt, it would become the center of the oil boom. And we can't forget about the early timber boom, which helped pave the way for the building of 4 additional railroads in the county. What really paved the way for Ritchie County's early economy and literally helped pave the streets of Washington, D.C. and London, England, came from right here at Ritchie Mines. In 1852, in what we today call Ritchie Mines Wildlife Management Area near McFarland Creek, unusual deposits of natural asphalt were found. This natural asphalt, or the technical term grahamite, was initially mined because it yielded about 150 pounds of oil per ton. After learning that it was cheaper to extract oil from wells instead of asphalt, the light bulb finally turned on, and a few smart people said, hey, you could really use this stuff as paving material. Well, the rest is history, but for only a half a century due to changing ownership and then an explosion which closed the mine in 1873. After the explosion, it would reopen 12 years later until its official closing in 1909. Now, it's been said that grahamite asphalt was first discovered in West Virginia, and that Ritchie Mines was the state's only asphalt deposit. With all this new growth and prosperity in the county, one would ask, what about Harrisville? Well, the town was first settled by a dude named Thomas Harris and his family in 1807. From its charter in 1832 to the year of 1895, the town's name would change as frequent as a Facebook alias. Finally, it was decided that the town would be named Harrisville after its founder Thomas Harris and his nephew General Thomas M. Harris, who, by the way, was Harrisville's most celebrated citizen. Now, Harrisville, like every other county seat, was the center of government. However, it would also enjoy the fruits of a successful oil and gas industry and a major turnpike and railroad just north of town. Now, the 20th century would bring successful industries in glassmaking, as Route 50 towns such as Ellenboro and Pennsboro would become thriving communities. With a thriving gas industry in the region, glass production would flourish, as companies such as Champion and Mid-Atlantic Glass of West Virginia would make some of the finest decorative glass and marbles in the state. However, with oil and gas comes booms and busts, which is what Ritchie County has faced for the past 100+ years. The 1980s also brought an end of an era in railroad history, as the B&O ran its last train in 1985. Much has changed here in Ritchie County over the years, but one thing that has not changed is how the county continues to redefine itself economically. Though natural gas is still a viable industry in the county, tourism has also emerged with the construction of the North Bend Rail Trail. Once the mighty B&O Railroad, the North Bend Rail Trail takes you 72 miles from Parkersburg in Wood County to Wolf Summit in Harrison County. From trains to mountain bikes, towns like Cairo, Ellenboro, and Pennsboro have become popular stops along the way for bikers and their families. The trail even runs alongside of North Bend State Park, which has become a destination for many mountain bikers. Oil, gas, tourism, and trails, which finally takes us right here to a place that was once named Molehill. In 1949, as residents decided to rename this place Mountain because every great story is about making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm Wayne Worth, and until next time, always remember what we value and hold important to our lives today came from events that happened yesterday, and it's when we begin to understand the events of yesterday that we fully embrace today, which makes tomorrow become less of a mystery. Yeah, all sorts of gas. He's coming hot.